Everything you think you've lost, the money that vanished, the love that walked away, the years the locusts devoured. Listen to me carefully. None of it is gone. It's not missing. It's not stolen. It's simply waiting in a state of consciousness you haven't occupied yet. Tonight, we step into that state, and the repayment begins, pressed down, shaken together, running over. The world you see around you is not the cause of your experience, but the effect, and it is the outpicturing of your inner states of consciousness. We begin our journey here because until you grasp this fundamental truth, you will remain a victim of circumstance, forever fighting shadows on a screen. Every circumstance and every person and every experience in your life is a reflection of your own thoughts and beliefs and conversations you hold in the secret chambers of your mind. When you grasp this fundamental truth, you realize that the repayment you seek, whether it be in finances or relationships or health, is not about receiving something from an external source or begging a distant deity to intervene in your affairs. It is about shifting your consciousness to a state where what you desire already exists. For, in truth, nothing is ever lost. It simply exists in a state that you are not currently occupying. Most people live their entire lives in the conviction that the physical world is the hard reality, and their thoughts are merely wispy epiphenomena that happen inside their heads. They believe that if they want to change their life, they must manipulate the physical world by force and struggle and sheer willpower. They try to change the reflection in the mirror by shouting at the glass or trying to wipe away the frown they see there. But you know as well as I do that you can never change the reflection by manipulating the mirror. You must change the face in front of the mirror. You must change yourself. The world is a mirror bearing witness to your inner state of being. If you are experiencing lack, it is because you are maintaining a state of consciousness of lack. If you are experiencing conflict, it is because you are maintaining an inner conversation of conflict. The world has no volition of its own. It is a dead thing until you animate it with your imagination. It must reflect what you are doing within yourself. Consider for a moment the nature of what you call loss. You may feel that you have lost time, or lost an opportunity, or lost a loved one, or lost your health. But I tell you that in the divine economy of the universe, nothing is ever truly lost. Have you ever misplaced an object in your home only to find it later exactly where it should have been? The object was never lost, and it did not vanish from existence and then reappear. It was always there. The only thing that changed was your state of consciousness. You were in a state of unawareness regarding its location, and then you shifted into a state of awareness. The same principle applies to everything you believe you have lost in life. The wealth you desire is not gone, and the health you seek has not vanished. They exist right now in this present moment, but they exist on a frequency that you are not currently tuned into. You are like a radio that is tuned to a station of static and sorrow, complaining that the music of joy is not playing. The music is broadcasting 24 hours a day, but you must turn the dial of your attention to receive it. Now, you might be wondering, how can I shift my consciousness to a state where I have what I thought was lost when my senses tell me it is not here? This is an excellent question, and it brings us to the heart of our discussion, which is the discovery of the operant power within you. The key lies in your wonderful human imagination. Your imagination is not mere fantasy or daydreaming or a way to escape reality when life gets too hard. That is how the world treats imagination, but that is a childish understanding. I tell you that your imagination is God in action within you. It is the creative power through which all things are made, and without it was not anything made that was made. When you imagine, you are literally reshaping the substance of the universe. You are entering into the causal realm. Everything you see in this physical world was once an imagined act. The clothes you are wearing, and the chair you are sitting on, and the device you are listening to were all once invisible images in the mind of a person. They persisted in that image, and eventually it hardened into what we call fact. To receive repayment for what you thought was lost, you must use your imagination to occupy the state where you already have it. This is the great secret that separates the novice from the master. You must learn the difference between thinking of your desire and thinking from your desire. When you think of your desire, you are looking at it as an object in the future. You are saying, I want that. And by saying, I want that, you are confessing that you do not have it. You are reinforcing the state of lack. To think from the desire is to view the world from the perspective that it is already yours. It is to look out at your world not from the eyes of the person who is seeking, but from the eyes of the person who has found. You must feel the reality of it and experience the joy of it, and live from the assumption that it is already yours. This is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It is about aligning yourself with the truth of your desire at the level of cause. For remember, your outer world is simply a reflection of your inner states. As you change within, your outer world has no choice but to conform. Let us go deeper into this concept of the inner state because it is the most practical thing you will ever learn. An inner state is a body of beliefs and feelings and reactions that you carry with you. It is the house you live in psychologically. Most people are living in a psychological house of poverty or a house of victimhood. They may physically move to a new city or change jobs or find a new partner, but because they have not moved from their psychological house, they recreate the same old problems in the new environment. They are still the same person, just in a different setting. To change your life, you must move into a new state of consciousness. You must abandon the old house of limitation and build a mansion of fulfillment in your mind. This requires a radical shift in your identity. You stop identifying with the person who was hurt in the past and you start identifying with the person you wish to be. You do not wait for the evidence to appear before you believe. You believe first and the evidence follows. This is the logic of the spirit, which is the opposite of the logic of the world. The world says seeing is believing, but the spirit says believing is seeing. Now some of you might be thinking, but how can I imagine having something when my current reality shows me its absence? This is where we must address the tyranny of the senses. Your 5 senses are wonderful tools for navigating the physical world, but they are terrible masters when it comes to creating your destiny. Your senses anchor you to the past. When you look at your bank balance and feel depressed, you are reacting to a past creation. That balance is just the echo of your past thoughts and feelings. If you continue to react to it, you perpetuate it. You keep the echo alive. This, my friends, is where faith comes in, but not blind faith. This is faith based on understanding the law. You see, your physical reality is nothing more than the out picture of your past assumptions. It is the harvest of seeds you have previously sown in your consciousness. To change your reality and to receive repayment for what you thought was lost, you must plant new seeds. You must assume a new state of being. When you ignore the evidence of your senses and dare to assume that you are already the person you want to be, you are planting these new seeds. You are assuming the state of one who already has what they desire, and as you persist in this state, your outer world has no choice but to conform to this new inner conviction. This brings us to the true meaning of the biblical phrase, ask and it shall be given you. It is not a plea to an external deity begging for a favor. It is a reminder of your own divine creative power. When you ask, you are declaring your desire as an accomplished fact to your own subconscious mind, which is one with the universal mind. The subconscious mind is the womb of creation. It accepts whatever you impress upon it with feeling and brings it to birth in your world. It does not judge and it does not argue. It simply accepts. If you impress upon it the feeling of failure, it will faithfully reproduce failure in your life. If you impress upon it the feeling of success, it will faithfully move mountains to bring you success. Most people are constantly impregnating their subconscious mind with negativity and fear, and then they wonder why their children, which are the events of their lives, are so misshapen. You must become a vigilant guardian of the gates of your mind. You must only allow those thoughts and feelings that contribute to your desired state to enter. Now let us address a common misconception that often trips people up on this path. Many believe that to manifest their desires and receive repayment for what they thought was lost, they must visualize every tiny detail of how it will come. They exhaust themselves trying to figure out the logistics. They worry about where the money will come from or who they need to meet or how the problem will be solved. But I tell you now, this is not necessary and can even be counterproductive. Your job is not to figure out the how. Your job is to determine the what. What do you want? And more importantly, who are you when you have it? Your job is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The infinite intelligence of the universe, which is far greater than your conscious intellect, will take care of the how. It has ways and means that you know not of. It can rearrange the entire world to bring you your desire. Think of it like this. When you order something online, you don't concern yourself with the logistics of the warehouse or the route the delivery truck will take. You simply place the order and trust that it will arrive. You have confidence in the system. The same principle applies when you seek repayment from the universe. You place your order with the cosmic catalog, so to speak, by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and then you let go and trust in its delivery. This brings us to the vital importance of naturalness. A state of consciousness must feel natural to you if it is to objectify in your world. If you imagine yourself wealthy but you feel like a fraud while doing it, you are not occupying the state. You are merely visiting it as a tourist. A tourist visits a country, looks around, and then goes home. A resident lives there. You must become a resident of your desired state. You must wear the feeling of your wish fulfilled until it fits you like a comfortable old glove. At first, it may feel strange. It may feel like you are wearing a costume. But as you persist, as you return to this feeling night after night and day after day, it begins to feel natural. And the moment it feels natural, the moment you no longer feel the desperate need for it because you feel you already have it, that is the moment the seed has taken root. That is the moment the pregnancy has begun. And once the conception has taken place, there is nothing you can do to stop the birth. It will come in its own appointed hour. Consider the story of a person who is looking for a companion. They look everywhere in the outer world, attending events and swiping on applications and asking friends for introductions, but they remain lonely. They are searching for love from the state of loneliness. And the law says that you can only attract what you are, not what you want. As long as they remain in the state of loneliness, they will only meet people who reflect that loneliness back to them, or they will repel the very connection they seek. But suppose this person stops searching on the outside and begins to work on the inside. Suppose they begin to imagine that they are already happily married. They sleep in their bed at night and imagine that their partner is there beside them. They feel the ring on their finger. They have mental conversations with this partner, thanking them for a wonderful day. They do this not to make it happen, but to make it real to themselves. Eventually, a shift occurs. They no longer feel lonely. They feel loved. They feel complete. They have successfully shifted their state of consciousness. And once that shift happens, the person appears in their physical world, often in the most unexpected way. This is not magic, it is the law of cause and effect. The internal cause produced the external effect. So we see that the foundation of all cause is your own I am. That is your true name and your true nature. Before you are a parent or a child or an employee or a business owner, you are simply I am. You are pure awareness. And to this awareness you attach concepts. You say I am poor, or I am sick, or I am unlucky. These are the clothes you have placed upon your spirit. But you are not the clothes. You are the wearer of the clothes. And because you are the one who put them on, you are the only one who can take them off. You have the power at any moment to strip yourself of these limiting concepts and clothe yourself in the robes of glory. You can say, I am wealthy, and I am healthy, and I am blessed. And if you say it with conviction and feeling, and if you persist in it, your world will transform to match your new declaration. The world is nothing more than the stage where your play is performed. If you do not like the play, do not boo the actors. Change the script. And the script is written in your imagination. We must also speak of the illusion of time. In the world of the senses, time is a linear progression from past to future. But in the world of consciousness, time is an illusion. Everything exists in the eternal now. Your desire is not in the future waiting for you to reach it. It exists right now as a possibility in the vast field of creation. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are collapsing time. You are bringing that future possibility into your present experience. You are making it a present fact in the only reality that matters, which is the reality of consciousness. Do not worry about how long it will take. The time it takes for your desire to manifest is directly proportional to the naturalness of your feeling. If it feels unnatural, it will take longer. If it feels natural, it can happen almost instantly. The interval of time between the seed and the harvest is determined by the intensity and the consistency of your faith. Therefore, the work you must do is not physical labor. It is the labor of the mind. It is the discipline of attention. You must learn to withdraw your attention from the evidence of your senses and place it on your invisible reality. This is the hardest work in the world, which is why so few people do it. It is easy to react to the news. It is easy to get angry when someone insults you or get fearful when the market crashes. It takes no effort to drift with the tide of mass consciousness. But to stand still in the midst of the storm and declare, "I am safe and I am secure," requires spiritual muscle. It requires you to be the captain of your soul. You must practice this daily. You do not need a special room or a special time. You can do it while you are washing the dishes or driving your car or waiting in line. You can constantly be pruning your thoughts and directing your imagination towards the lovely and the good. Remember that you are always imagining. You cannot stop imagining. Every moment of every day you are imagining something. You are imagining what you will have for dinner, or what your boss will say, or how your vacation will go. Most of this imagining is unconscious and uncontrolled. It is like a ship without a rudder, drifting wherever the winds of emotion take it. The goal of this teaching is to make you a conscious creator. It is to take the helm of your ship and steer it deliberately towards the port of your desire. When you become aware of what you are imagining, you become the master of your fate. You realize that you are not a victim of a cruel world, but the architect of a beautiful one. You stop blaming your parents, or your government, or your economy for your problems. You take full responsibility. And while responsibility may seem heavy at first, it is actually the ultimate freedom. For if you created the mess, you can clean it up. If you caused the problem, you can cause the solution. So, as we establish this foundation of cause, let it be firmly planted in your mind that there is only one cause, and that is God, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. There is no secondary cause. There is no devil fighting against you. There is no fate conspiring to bring you down. There is only you and your imagination. The world is your mirror. Smile into it and it will smile back. Frown into it and it will frown back. The choice is yours in every single moment. Do not look for signs on the outside. The sign that your desire is coming is the feeling that it is already here. That inner knowing is the only confirmation you need. Walk in that knowing. Sleep in that knowing. Eat and drink in that knowing. And as surely as the sun rises in the east, your desire will rise in your world, and you will know the truth that you are the operant power. This is the rock upon which we stand. This is the foundation that cannot be shaken. And from this foundation we will build a life of freedom and joy and limitlessness. Everything depends on this understanding. Without it, we are just drifting leaves. With it, we are the roots and the trunk and the branches of the tree of life itself. Now that we have established the rock foundation that your consciousness is the only reality and the sole cause of your experience, we must move into the practical application of this truth, which requires a discipline of steel. It is one thing to understand intellectually that the world is a mirror, but it is entirely another thing to walk through the fires of daily life without flinching. When that mirror shows you something you do not wish to see, this brings us to the discipline of non-reaction, which is the hallmark of the true master of life. You have planted the seed in the first part of our journey by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, but now comes the testing time. The world of Caesar, which is the world of facts and figures and past momentum, will try to challenge your new assumption. It will present you with bills that are overdue, or a medical report that is unfavorable, or a loved one who is hostile. The natural tendency of the sleeping man is to react. He reacts with fear, and he reacts with anger, and he reacts with despair. But I tell you that reaction is the trap. Reaction is the moment you give away your power. To react to the external world is to confirm its reality and to deny your own power of creation. When you react, you are saying that the shadow on the screen is more real than the light that projects it. You are bowing down to the idol of circumstance instead of worshipping the living God within you. We must define clearly what we mean by reaction. Reaction is an automatic emotional response based on your past conditioning. It is the old man within you rising up to defend his territory. When you receive bad news and your stomach tightens and your mind begins to race with catastrophe scenarios, that is reaction. It is a reenactment of the past. You see, the world is nothing more than your past thoughts and feelings pushed out and hardened into fact. So when you react to the present moment, you are actually reacting to your own past. It is a vicious circle. You created a difficulty in the past through your fear. It appears today. You react to it with more fear. And by reacting, you plant the seed for the difficulty to reappear tomorrow. You are caught on a wheel of recurrence, endlessly repeating the same dramas and the same heartbreaks. To break the wheel, you must stop the reaction. You must learn to stand in the presence of the unpleasant and not accept it as final. You must learn to look at the evidence of your senses and say to it, "You have no power over me, for I know your origin. I know you are but a shadow of my past self, and I am no longer that person." This discipline requires you to cultivate a space between the stimulus and your response. In the sleeping state, there is no space. Someone insults you, and you instantly get angry. The gap is closed. But as you awaken, you create a gap. In that gap lies your freedom. In that gap lies God. When the insult comes, you pause. You breathe. You step back into the position of the observer. You notice the urge to attack back arising within you, but you do not identify with it. You say to yourself, "I am aware of this feeling of anger, but I am not this anger. I am the awareness that observes it." By simply observing it without judgment and without attachment, you drain the energy from it. You starve the demon of reaction. And when you do not react, you break the cycle of karma. You stop the wheel. You are no longer creating from the past. You are free to create from the present. This is what it means to be in the world, but not of it. You participate in the drama of life, but you do not get lost in the role. You remember you are the actor and the playwright and the director. If the scene is going badly, you do not scream at the other actors. You change the script. Let us discuss the role of inner speech in this discipline, for this is the mechanism by which you maintain or destroy your state. Your inner speech is the perpetual conversation you are holding with yourself. Most people are unaware that they are talking to themselves every waking moment. They carry on mental arguments with their boss or their spouse or politicians or imaginary enemies. They justify their failures and they rehearse their grievances. I want you to understand this clearly. Your inner speech is the breeding ground of your future. Every mental conversation you hold is a seed you are planting. If you are arguing with your boss in the shower in the morning, do not be surprised when you have conflict at the office later that day. You wrote the script in the shower and the world simply acted it out. To master the discipline of non-reaction, you must master your inner tongue. You must go on a mental diet. Just as you would not eat poison food because it would harm your body, you must not indulge in poison thoughts because they harm your destiny. When a negative thought arises or when a reaction threatens to overtake you, you must learn to pivot your inner speech instantly. Do not fight the negative thought, for fighting it only gives it energy. Instead, replace it. If the thought comes that says, "I cannot afford this immediately," replace it with the inner declaration, "I am divinely supplied." If the thought comes that says, "He does not love me," replace it with, "I am loved and I am wanted." This is not about suppressing your emotions, it is about transmuting them. You are an alchemist. You are turning the lead of negative reaction into the gold of divine assumption. It requires vigilance. You cannot take a day off. You cannot say, I will be conscious on Sunday, but on Monday I will let my mind run wild. Your mind is creating 24 hours a day. The universe does not take a break. Therefore, your vigilance must be constant, but do not be discouraged if you fail. When you catch yourself reacting, do not condemn yourself. Simply stop. Rewind the tape. Revise the moment, and start again. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes, until eventually a state of equanimity becomes your natural dwelling place. This brings us to the concept of divine indifference. This is a term that is often misunderstood. People think indifference means you become cold and unfeeling like a robot. That is not what I mean. Divine indifference is a state of high spiritual voltage. It is a state of supreme confidence. It is the attitude of a king or a queen who knows their authority. Imagine a monarch sitting on a throne. A peasant comes in and shouts insults. Does the monarch get down off the throne and start a fist fight with the peasant? No, the monarch remains seated, knowing their power is untouched by the shouting of the peasant. Your doubts and your fears and the negative circumstances of the world are the peasants. You are the monarch. Divine indifference means you look at the lack in your bank account and you do not panic, because you know the law of supply. You look at the medical report and you do not crumble, because you know the truth of your wholeness. You care deeply about your desire, but you are indifferent to the obstacles that seem to stand in its way. You deny them the power of your attention. You withdraw your life force from the problem and you invest it in the solution. This practice of withdrawal is essential. You must learn to withdraw your attention from the sensory world. The senses are insistent. They scream for your attention. They say, look at this pain, look at this empty cupboard, look at this war on the news. They want to drag you down into the mud of mass consciousness. But you must be able to shut the door of your senses. This is what the Bible means when it says, when you pray, go into your closet and shut the door. It is not a physical closet. It is the closet of your mind. You shut the door of your 5 senses. You refuse to see what the eye sees and hear what the ear hears. You retreat into the silence of your own imagination. In that silence, you commune with your Father, which is your own wonderful human imagination. In that silence, you reconstruct your world. You see it not as it is, but as it ought to be. And you hold that vision until it feels real. Then you open the door and walk back into the world. But you walk differently. You carry the atmosphere of the silence with you. You have a secret. You know that what you saw in the silence is the true reality, and what you see with your eyes is just the fading echo of the past. Now, I want to pause for a moment and invite you to make a commitment. This path of non-reaction is not easy. It is the hardest work you will ever do, but it is the only work worth doing. It is the path of the true adept. By listening to this, you are already separating yourself from the herd of sleeping humanity. You are choosing to take the reins of your destiny. I invite you to join our community of seekers who are walking this path together. By subscribing to this channel, you are not just consuming content, you are affirming your dedication to your own awakening. We are building a sanctuary here, a place where we remind each other of who we truly are. So click that button, not for me, but for yourself, as a signal to your own subconscious mind that you are ready to master your life. Let us walk this narrow path together, supporting one another as we learn to turn away from the shadows and face the light. Returning to the discipline, let us explore the relationship between non-reaction and the timing of your manifestation. Many of you delay your own good because you react to the time delay. You plant the seed and you say, I believe, but a week goes by and you see no results. Then a month, and then you react. You get frustrated. You say it is not working. You doubt the law. My friends, listen to me. Your reaction to the delay is the very thing that is causing the delay. When you react with frustration, you are planting seeds of frustration. You are telling the universe, I do not have it. And the universe says, yes, you do not have it. To master this, you must reach a point where the time it takes is irrelevant. You must be so satisfied in your inner state, so convinced of its reality that you are content to wait. You know it is done. If you order a car and the dealer says it will be delivered in 6 weeks, you do not worry every day. You do not call the dealer every hour screaming, where is my car? You go about your life preparing your garage, buying insurance, knowing the car is yours. That is the attitude you must have. The incubation period is natural. Do not abort the pregnancy by your anxious reaction. We must also speak of the mirror of relationships in the context of non-reaction. This is often the most difficult arena. The people closest to us know exactly how to push our buttons. They trigger our deepest insecurities. But remember, everyone is you pushed out. They are only playing the role you have assigned to them in your consciousness. If your partner is critical, it is because you are holding a conversation of criticism within yourself. If your children are rebellious, it is because you are holding a concept of rebellion. When you react to them, you are fighting your own reflection. Instead of reacting, change the concept of them within yourself. See them as you desire them to be. Speak to them inwardly with love and praise. Stop the old mechanical reaction of defense and attack. It takes two to argue. If one person refuses to react, the argument cannot stand. It has no fuel. Be the one who stops the fuel. Be the one who brings peace to the chaos. You will be amazed at how quickly people change when you change your reaction to them. They will lose the script you used to give them, and they will be forced to play the new script you have written. Consider the metaphor of the storm at sea. The disciples are in the boat, and the storm rages, and they are terrified. They wake the master who is sleeping and say, do you not care that we are perishing? The master rises and speaks to the wind and the waves, saying, peace, be still. And there is a great calm. The disciples represent your doubt and fear and your reactive mind. The storm represents the circumstances of life. The master represents your awakened imagination, your I am. The master was sleeping, meaning you were not using your power. You must wake the master. You must stand in the midst of your financial storm or your relationship storm and speak to the chaos. But you cannot speak peace if you are screaming in terror. You cannot transmit a frequency of calm if you are vibrating with panic. You must first find the peace within. You must embody the state of the wish fulfilled. Then and only then do you have the authority to command the outer world. Your non-reaction is the proof of your authority. The one who is in control does not panic. The one who has the power does not need to force. This discipline extends to how you handle your memories. Many of you are reacting to memories that are 10 or 20 years old. You recall a past hurt and you get angry all over again. You recall a failure and you feel the shame all over again. You are dragging a corpse around with you. Stop reacting to the dead past. The past does not exist. It is only a memory trace in the present moment, and you have the power to change that memory. If a memory causes you pain, stop. Do not accept it. Rewrite it. We will speak more of this in the next section, but for now, know that your reaction to a memory keeps that memory active and alive in your vibration. To be free, you must be able to look at your past with total detachment. You must see it as a story that happened to someone else. You are a new creation. The old man is dead. Do not go to the cemetery and dig him up. Let the dead bury the dead. You follow the life within you. The practice of non-reaction also conserves your precious creative energy. Emotion is energy in motion. It is power. When you explode in anger or dissolve in depression, you are leaking your battery. You are wasting the very fuel you need to manifest your dreams. A person who is constantly reacting is like a steam engine that is venting its steam into the air instead of channeling it into the piston to move the wheels. You have no driving power because you have wasted it on the news and the gossip and the petty arguments. When you practice non-reaction, you become a containment vessel for this divine power. You build up a reservoir of spiritual pressure. And when you direct that contained pressure towards your desire through your imagination, it moves with laser-like intensity. The silent man is the strong man. The one who holds his tongue and controls his emotion is the one who commands the elements. So how do we practice this in the heat of the battle? When the bill comes and there is no money, when the doctor gives the diagnosis, first you acknowledge the fact. You do not pretend the bill is not there. That is delusion. You acknowledge the fact, but you deny the truth of it. Facts change, truths are eternal. The fact is the bank account is empty. The truth is I am wealthy. You look at the fact and you say, I see you, but I do not accept you as my final destiny. You then withdraw your attention. You go within. You construct a scene that implies the bill is paid. You feel the relief. You hear the congratulations. You stay in that feeling until the panic subsides and a sense of peace washes over you. Then you open your eyes. The bill is still there on the table, but you are different. You have shifted. And because you have shifted, the way will open. Money will come from an unexpected source, or a debt will be forgiven, or an opportunity will arise. You do not know the how, but you have secured the end. And because you did not react with fear, you did not freeze the state of poverty in place. You kept the flow of energy moving. This is a daily, hourly, moment-by-moment practice. You will fall. You will get angry. You will get scared. Do not judge yourself. Simply get back on the horse. Every time you catch yourself reacting and choose instead to respond from your higher self, you are building a new neural pathway. You are building a new spiritual muscle. You are becoming a conscious operator of the law. You are moving from being a victim of life to being a master of life. The world is looking for masters. The world is looking for people who can stand in the chaos and not be moved. Be that person. Be the rock. Be the light. And you will find that the world which once seemed so hostile will begin to bow before you. It will pave the way for your success. It will organize itself to fulfill your desires. But it begins with you. It begins with your discipline. It begins with your refusal to be a slave to your reactions. Stand tall in your I am. Clothe yourself in the dignity of your divine nature. And watch as the storms part and the sun breaks through. You are the operant power. Never forget that. Before we pick up the pruning shears to rewrite your past in the next section, I want to invite you to make a commitment. This path of awakening, this discipline of the mind, is not a journey to be walked alone. We are building a sanctuary here, a community of seekers dedicated to mastering the law of assumption as taught by Neville Goddard. If these words are resonating with your spirit, if you feel the truth of them in your bones, I invite you to subscribe to this channel right now. By doing so, you are not just following a creator, you are signaling to your own subconscious mind that you are ready to wake up. Ready to take the reins of your destiny. Join us. Let this channel be your daily reminder of who you truly are. And if you are ready to go deeper, stay with me. Because what I am about to share regarding the art of revision will change how you view your entire history. Let us continue. We have spoken of the foundation of cause and the discipline of non-reaction, which are the defensive armors of the conscious creator. But now we must take up the sword of the spirit, which is the art of revision. This is the most active and powerful tool you will ever possess, for it gives you the ability to undo what has been done. In the world of the senses, men believe that the past is fixed and unchangeable like stone that is hardened, but I tell you, in the world of consciousness, the past is fluid and malleable. The past is nothing more than a memory image existing in the present moment, and because it exists in the present, it can be altered in the present. If you hold on to the past as it occurred, you are doomed to repeat it, for the present is simply the past, rolling forward into the future. To change your future, you must change your past. This is the great secret that the ancients knew, and it is the key to true liberation from the wheel of recurrence. You are not a victim of your history, you are the editor of it. You have the power to rewrite the script of your life, not just the next chapter, but the chapters that have already been written. I call this technique the pruning shears of revision. Imagine for a moment that you are a gardener in a magnificent garden. This garden is your mind, and the plants are your experiences. If you allow the weeds of negativity and the briars of disappointment to grow unchecked, they will eventually choke out the flowers of your success and happiness. Most people look at the weeds of their past and say, well, that is just what happened. I cannot change it. They water the weeds with their attention, and they fertilize them with their regret. But the wise gardener knows that he has a tool. He can take his pruning shears and cut off the dead branches and the wild shoots that are taking energy away from the vine. When you prune a plant, you are redirecting the life force. When you revise a memory, you are redirecting the creative power of your imagination from a negative outcome to a positive one. You are literally changing the spiritual seed that was planted. And because the outer world is a reflection of the inner seed, when you change the seed, you must inevitably change the harvest. Let us discuss the practical application of this art, for it must be done daily to be effective. At the end of every day, before you drift off to sleep, you must review the events of the day. You do not review them to judge yourself or to wallow in guilt, but to curate them. You look at the day and you ask yourself, did this day go exactly as I desired? If there was a conversation that turned into an argument, or a business deal that fell through, or a moment of fear or rejection, you must not let that stand. You must stop the film of your day at that precise moment and rewrite the scene. In your imagination, you replay the event, but you change the script. Instead of the argument, hear the voice of the other person speaking words of understanding and love. Instead of the rejection, hear the words of acceptance and congratulations. You replay this new, revised scene over and over again in your imagination until it takes on the tones of reality. You do this until the revised version feels more real to you than the physical event that took place. What are you doing when you do this? You are replacing the recording in the archives of your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a physical fact and an imagined act that is felt with intensity. When you revise the past, you are literally planting a new memory, and your subconscious will accept this new memory as the truth and will begin to create a future based on this new truth. Consider the logic of this. If your present life is the result of your past assumptions, and you change the past assumptions, you must change the present life. I have seen this work miracles in the lives of men and women. I recall a man who had been fired from his job with harsh words. He went home trembling with anger and fear. If he had done what most men do, he would have replayed that firing in his mind 1,000 times, telling his friends how unfair it was and feeling the victimhood deeper and deeper. He would have planted a seed of resentment that would have grown into a forest of failure. But he knew this law. He went home and he sat in his chair and he revised the scene. In his imagination, he went back to the moment his boss called him in. But this time, instead of hearing "you are fired," he heard his boss say, "We are so impressed with your work that we are giving you a promotion and a raise." He felt the handshake. He felt the gratitude. He replayed this scene until the anger dissolved and was replaced by a feeling of relief and satisfaction. He slept in that state. The next morning, he received a call from the very same company. They told him there had been a terrible mistake and a misunderstanding and asked him to return not only to his old position but with a new respect. Now the world will say this was a coincidence. But I tell you, there is no coincidence. He changed the cause and the effect had to change. He moved in the timeline of his own destiny. This power of revision extends far beyond simple daily events. It reaches into the deep wounds of your childhood and the traumas that have defined your personality. Many of you are carrying heavy burdens from 20 or 30 years ago. You say, I am this way because my father treated me this way, or I cannot succeed because I failed back then. As long as you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. But you can go back, you can take the pruning shears of revision into the garden of your childhood. You can rewrite the relationship with your parents. You can reimagine the failures as successes. You can rewrite the script of your life so that you come from a lineage of love and triumph. When you do this, you are not lying to yourself. You are telling the truth of God. For God is love, and God is perfection, and anything that is not love and perfection is the lie. The physical facts that hurt you are the illusion. The revised scene of harmony is the spiritual truth. When you revise, you are aligning your personal history with the divine nature. You are freeing yourself from the chains of karma. You are stepping out of the prison of the past and walking into the freedom of the I am. This brings us to the mighty law of forgiveness, which is often the most misunderstood concept in the entire religious history of man. Forgiveness is not a moral act where you condescend to pardon a sinner. It is not saying, I am holy and you are wicked, but I will let you off the hook. That is arrogance, not forgiveness. True forgiveness is a mental act. It is the act of identification. To forgive someone, you must identify them with the ideal you want them to be. You must see them not as they seem to be, but as they ought to be. If you see someone as mean or cruel or dishonest and you hold that image of them, you are keeping them in that state. You are chaining them to their sin. And because everyone is you pushed out, you are chaining yourself to that discord. To forgive them, you must revise your concept of them. You must imagine them as kind and generous and honest. You must speak to them in your mind as if they were already that person. When you do this, you are lifting them up. You are saving them. And in saving them, you save yourself. You must understand the metaphysical meaning of the phrase, everyone is you pushed out. This is not just a poetic figure of speech. It is the literal structure of reality. There is only one consciousness in the universe, and that consciousness is God, and that consciousness is individualized as you. Everyone you meet is a projection of your own consciousness. They are bearing witness to the state you are in. If you are in a state of suspicion, you will meet suspicious people. If you are in a state of love, you will meet loving people. Therefore, when you hold a grudge against another, you are holding a grudge against yourself. When you refuse to forgive another, you are drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The other person is only playing the role you assign to them. If you change the assignment, they must change the performance. I have seen relationships that were shattered beyond repair, healed in a single night through this art of revision. I have seen estranged partners return. I have seen lawsuits dropped. I have seen enemies become friends, not by arguing or pleading or manipulating on the outside, but by changing the image of the other person on the inside. Let us look at the story of the prodigal son in this light. The son goes out and wastes his substance and falls into the pigsty. This represents man falling into the state of negative thinking and reaction. He forgets who he is. But then he comes to his senses. He remembers his father's house. He returns. And what does the father do? Does the father lecture him? Does the father say, I told you so? Does the father make him pay back the money? No. The father runs to meet him. He puts the best robe on him and the ring on his finger and kills the fatted calf. This is the perfect picture of revision and forgiveness. The father is your own imagination. When you turn away from the pigsty of your negative past and return to the ideal, the conviction of your wish fulfilled, your imagination does not punish you. It instantly clothes you in the robe of the new state. It completely wipes away the record of the past. The past is forgotten. It is dead. Only the present joy of the reunion matters. You must be this father to yourself. You must not hold your own past mistakes against yourself. You must run to meet your new ideal and clothe yourself in it fully. There is a great biological truth here as well. Your body is a faithful recorder of your mind. Every resentment you hold is a stress on your cells. Every regret is a burden on your heart. When you use the pruning shears of revision, you are literally healing your body. You are removing the psychological cause of your physical disease. I have known people who suffered from chronic pain, which was nothing more than the physical shadow of a solidified memory of pain. When they revised the original accident or the original trauma, when they replayed it in their mind until they felt safety and wholeness instead of injury, the pain vanished. The body follows the mind as the shadow follows the substance. If you change the substance, the shadow must change. Do not try to heal the shadow. Heal the mind. Revise the trauma. Wash your consciousness clean every night. You would not go to bed with a body covered in mud. Why do you go to bed with a mind covered in the mud of the day's disappointments? Cleanse yourself. Forgiveness is the soap. Revision is the water. Make yourself pure before you enter the Holy of Holies, which is the state of sleep. You might ask, but is this honest? Am I not lying to myself? This is the question of the rational mind, which is the enemy of spiritual truth. What is the truth? Is the truth a temporary fact that appears for a moment and then vanishes? Or is the truth the eternal desire of God for perfection? When you revise a scene to make it noble and lovely, you are telling the higher truth. You are acknowledging that the discord was the lie and the harmony is the reality. You are not deceiving yourself, you are undeceiving yourself. You are waking up from the nightmare of limitation and choosing the dream of beauty. You are exercising your divine right to select your reality. The world belongs to the energetic. It belongs to the bold. It belongs to those who dare to decree a thing and see it established. Do not be timid with your life. Do not bow down to the dictate of facts. Facts are the products of the imagination of others. Why should you be a slave to another man's imagination when you have your own? Let us take the example of a person who has received a medical diagnosis that brings fear. The doctor speaks a word and that word becomes a seed. The person goes home and waters that seed with fear, visualizing the illness progressing, imagining the suffering. This is the misuse of imagination. This is creating the very thing you do not want. Now, apply the pruning shears. Go back to the doctor's office in your mind. Sit in the chair. But this time, hear the doctor say the tests are clear. You are in perfect health. It is a miracle. See the smile on the doctor's face. Feel the rush of relief in your own heart. Call a friend in your imagination and tell them the good news. Do this over and over. You are rewriting the past event. You are pulling out the weed of illness and planting the flower of health. This does not mean you ignore medical treatment if you feel led to it, but it means you change the causal energy behind the condition. You stop feeding the illness with your agreement. You withdraw your consent from the disease. You are reclaiming your body for the spirit of health. And what a financial loss. The world says you made a bad investment, you lost the money, it is gone. That is the logic of Caesar. The logic of Christ says nothing is lost. Go back to the moment of the decision. Revise it. Or go back to the moment you receive the news of the loss. Hear a different report. Or construct a scene now that implies the money has been restored. If you owe a debt and cannot pay it, revise the debt. See the statement marked paid in full. Feel the freedom of being debt-free. Do not worry about where the money will come from. That is not your concern. Your concern is the state of consciousness. If you persist in the state of having paid the debt, the means will appear. The universe has infinite avenues of expression. When you revise, you open the blocked channels. You take your foot off the hose and let the water of abundance flow again. But if you dwell on the loss, you are crimping the hose tighter and tighter. This practice of revision is the secret of the true Christian life. It is the daily dying to the old self and being born again to the new. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it brings forth much fruit. Your old memory is the grain of wheat. You must let it die. You must sacrifice the old grievance. You must sacrifice the old hurt. It may feel like you are losing a part of yourself because you have identified with your pain for so long. You have become comfortable in your victimhood. You have worn your scars like badges of honor. But I tell you, those scars are chains. Let them go. Let the old man die so the new man can live. Every night you have the opportunity to die to the sins of the day and be resurrected in the morning as a new being. A being who is not defined by the past but defined by the future you are creating. If you will faithfully use these pruning shears, I promise you that your life will change in ways you cannot currently conceive. You will find that people who used to annoy you now treat you with respect. You will find that obstacles that seemed immovable simply melt away. You will find that your memory, which used to be a haunted house of regrets, becomes a gallery of beautiful pictures. You will walk lighter. You will look younger, for you are no longer carrying the weight of the dead past. You are living in the eternal now, which is fresh and new and full of possibility. But you must be consistent. You cannot prune the garden once a year and expect it to be beautiful. You must do it every day. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath. Never take a negative mood into sleep. Sleep is the gateway to the subconscious. If you enter it in conflict, you brew conflict for the morrow. If you enter it in peace, you brew peace. Use your imagination lovingly on behalf of others. If you hear that a friend is unemployed, do not join them in their worry. Do not say, "Oh, how terrible, the economy is bad." That is adding to their burden. Instead, revise their situation. Hear them telling you they have found the perfect job. Feel the joy for them. When you do this, you are lifting them. You are acting as God to them. And because you are lifting them, you are lifting yourself. You cannot light a candle for another without illuminating your own path. This is the law of unity. We are all one. There is no separation. When I revise your life, I am revising my world. When I forgive you, I am freeing myself. So use this tool with generosity. Use it with abandon. Prune the world of its ugliness and see only the beauty. The pruning shears of revision are a gift of grace. They allow us to escape the consequences of our unthinking creations. We have all created negatively. We have all had unlovely thoughts. We have all reacted fearfully. If there were no revision, we would be crushed under the weight of our accumulated errors. But God in His mercy has given us a way to wipe the slate clean. We can change the past. We can rewrite the record. We can turn the scarlet sins into snow-white purity. This is not just poetry. This is the physics of the spirit. It is the way out of the maze. So tonight, when you lay your head on the pillow, do not just drift into unconsciousness. Become the gardener. Look at your day. See the weeds. Cut them out. Plant the roses. Plant the lilies. Water them with your feeling of satisfaction. And sleep in the garden of your own making. If you do this, you will wake up in a world that reflects the beauty of your garden. You will prove to yourself that you are not a creature of circumstance, but the creator of your destiny. The power is in your hands. The tool is ready. Now you must use it. We have traveled through the awakening of cause and the discipline of self-mastery and the art of revising the past, but now we arrive at the most glorious promise of this entire teaching, which is the law of divine restoration. Listen closely to what I am about to tell you, for it may be the most important thing you ever hear. The universe, which is your own wonderful human imagination, is about to repay you for everything you thought was lost. You may look at your life today and see a landscape of ruin. You may see wasted years and broken relationships and financial opportunities that slip through your fingers like sand. The world tells you that these things are gone forever. The world tells you that time once spent can never be recovered. But I tell you with the authority of one who has tested this law, that in the divine economy of God, nothing is ever lost. It is impossible for anything to be lost in a universe that is infinite and complete. What appears to be loss in the world of Caesar is merely a transformation in the world of spirit. It is the necessary preparation for a multiplication so vast that if I told you the extent of it, you would not believe me. The law of divine compensation states that every vacuum created in your life must be filled, and it must be filled with a measure that is pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Nature abhors a vacuum, and spirit abhors emptiness. When something is taken from you, whether it be a job or a lover or your health or your reputation, it is not a punishment. It is a clearing. It is the divine gardener pruning the vine not to kill it, but to make it bear more fruit. You must stop looking at your losses as evidence of failure and start looking at them as the evidence of coming expansion. You cannot put new wine into old wineskins. You cannot build a new mansion on the side of a shack until the shack is demolished. The demolition looks like destruction to the uninitiated eye, but to the architect it is the first step of construction. You are currently standing in the midst of a construction site. Do not mourn the dust and the debris. Look at the blueprints in your imagination and see what is rising. Let us go deeper into the mystery of this repayment. The transcript of your life is being rewritten. You realize that the repayment you seek is not about receiving something from an external source. It is about shifting your consciousness to a state where what you desire already exists. When you shift to this state, the universe, which is your obedient servant, rushes to fill the mold you have created. Consider the story of Job. He lost everything. His wealth and his family and his health were stripped away. But he held fast to his faith in his own integrity, and in the end, everything was restored to him double. This is not just an ancient fable. It is a psychological drama taking place in you. You are Job. You have suffered losses, but if you hold fast to the vision of your restoration, if you refuse to curse God, which means refusing to curse your imagination, then your latter days will be more blessed than your beginning. The restoration is always greater than the original. If you lost $1,000, the law will bring you 10,000. If you lost a temporary love, the law will bring you an eternal companion. The universe does not deal in subtraction, it deals in multiplication. Now you might say, but Neville, my situation is impossible. The doctors say there is no cure. The bank says there is no credit. The age on my driver's license says it is too late. I love it when people tell me it is impossible. The word impossible is the dinner bell for God. The impossible is simply the limit of human reason. Reason is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. Reason relies on the evidence of the senses and the memories of the past. It looks at the facts and draws a logical conclusion. But imagination is not bound by logic. Imagination is the power that creates the facts. When you are faced with an impossible situation, you are actually standing on holy ground. You are in the perfect position to demonstrate the power of the law. If it were possible by human standards, you would not need God. It is only when you reach the end of your rope that you discover you have wings. Do not be afraid of the impossible. Embrace it. Challenge it. Dare to assume the very thing that reason denies. How do we do this? How do we birth the impossible? We do it by appropriating the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I want to speak to you now about the state akin to sleep. This is the gateway to the subconscious. Your conscious mind is the gatekeeper, and it is full of doubts and arguments. It guards the door of your soul and rejects anything that does not fit its limited logic. But when you are drowsy, when you are drifting off to sleep, the gatekeeper falls asleep. The door is left ajar. This is the moment of power. This is the time to impress your desire upon the deeper mind. Every night as you lie in bed, you have an appointment with destiny. Most people waste this appointment. They take their worries into sleep. They replay the arguments of the day. They calculate their debts, and so they impregnate the subconscious with conflict and lack, and they wake up to a world of conflict and lack. You must stop this. You must treat the time before sleep as a sacred ritual. Tonight, when you climb into bed, I want you to perform a specific act. Ignore the facts of the day. Ignore the pain in your body or the emptiness in your wallet. Close your eyes and immobilize your physical body. Induce a state of drowsiness where you are in control of your thoughts, but you are too lazy to move a muscle. In this state, bring before your mind's eye a scene that implies your desire is already a fact. Construct a scene that follows the fulfillment of your desire. If you want a promotion, construct a scene where a friend is congratulating you on your new position. If you want health, imagine yourself running on the beach or doing something that would be impossible if you were sick. Do not visualize the process of getting better. Visualize the state of being healed. It is done. Now here is the secret. You must not just watch this scene like a movie on a screen. You must step into it. You must participate in it. You must feel the hand of your friend. You must hear the tone of their voice. You must smell the salt air of the beach. You must give it all the tones of reality. And then you must do the most important thing of all. You must feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What is that feeling? It is usually a feeling of relief, a deep exhale of the soul. It is the feeling of saying, "Thank God it is done." It is a quiet satisfaction. It is a peace that passes understanding. You loop this scene over and over again in your mind. You enter it and exit it and enter it again until it feels natural, until you feel that you are actually there. And then you let yourself slip from that scene into the deep ocean of sleep. You fall asleep in the assumption. You do not fall asleep desiring, you fall asleep possessing. When you do this, you are engaging the machinery of the universe. You are giving the command to the creative forces of life. While you sleep, your subconscious mind, which is God, works to arrange the events of tomorrow. It influences people, and it opens doors, and it shifts circumstances to bring about the exact duplicate of what you felt in sleep. You wake up in the morning and you may not see the change immediately, but the seed has been planted. The bridge of incidents has begun to form. This brings us to the nature of faith. Faith is not blind hope. Faith is not gritting your teeth and trying to believe something you know is not true. That is delusion. True faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. It is the loyalty to the imaginal act. When you have done this work in the silence and in the sleep, you have seen the reality. You have touched it. You have experienced it. Now you open your eyes, and the world tells you it is not there. Faith is the courage to say, "I saw it. I felt it, and what I experienced in my imagination is more real than what I see with my eyes." Faith is walking by the inner light when the outer world is dark. It is a refusal to accept the no of the world as final. You know what you did in the silence? You know it was real. And because you know the law, you know it must manifest. You do not anxiously check for it every hour. You do not dig up the seed. You rest in the confidence that it is done. This is the Sabbath mentioned in Scripture. The Sabbath is not a day of the week. It is the state of rest that comes after the creative act is finished. When you have successfully impregnated the subconscious, you feel a sense of completion. You are no longer hungry for the desire because you have already eaten the fruit in your imagination. You go about your day with a secret smile, knowing that the delivery truck is on its way. Let us return to the idea of repayment for the years the locusts have eaten. I want you to think of a time in your life when you felt you made a terrible mistake. Maybe you walked away from a great career, or you ruined a marriage with your anger. The guilt of that mistake can haunt you for decades. It can paralyze your future. But the law of divine restoration says that even your mistakes can be turned into stepping stones. God uses everything. There is no waste in the universe. Your mistake gave you wisdom. It gave you contrast. It deepened your understanding. Now take that wisdom and construct a new future. Do not think that because you are 40 or 50 or 60 that it is too late. Age is a concept of man. Moses began his ministry at 80. The Spirit is ageless. The energy within you is the same energy that created the stars. It does not get tired and it does not get old. You can start a new business today. You can find a new love today. You can revitalize your body today. The only thing stopping you is your belief in the calendar. Burn the calendar in your mind. Live in the eternal now. Consider the metaphor of the reservoir. Your consciousness is a vast reservoir of water. The pipes that lead from it are your beliefs. If your pipes are clogged with the rust of unworthiness and the mud of regret, the water cannot flow. The water is there. The pressure is there. But the outlet is blocked. When you practice the law of assumption, you are cleaning the pipes. You are opening the valves, and when you do, the water does not trickle out, it rushes out. It explodes into your life. This is why when restoration comes, it often comes as a flood. It comes from all directions. You get the money and the health and the love all at once, because you have unclogged the flow of God. You have stopped resisting your own good. You have finally allowed the universe to do what it has wanted to do all along, which is to lavish you with its kingdom. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It is not something you have to wrestle from His hand. You just have to open your hand to receive it. But you must be willing to let go of the identity of the victim. You cannot be the victim and the victor at the same time. You cannot tell your sad story of loss to everyone you meet and expect to receive the restoration. You must stop telling the old story. If someone asks you about your past, simply say, that was a time of learning, but I am moving into a time of harvest. Do not energize the old timeline. Starve it of your attention. Become obsessed with your new vision. Fall in love with the person you are becoming. The law of attraction is a law of love. You attract what you love. If you love your misery, you will attract more of it. If you love your dream, you will attract it. It is that simple. The universe is a lover. It gives you what you are most intimate with. Be intimate with success. Be intimate with health. Sleep with them. Wake with them. Walk with them. I want to address the skeptics among you, or the skeptic within you. The voice that says this is too good to be true. This sounds like magic thinking. Let me tell you that the world you call real is the product of magic thinking. It is the product of the collective imagination of humanity. We agreed that paper money has value, so it does. We agreed that certain lines on a map are borders, so they are. We live in a world of imagined concepts. Why is it logical to accept the imagined concepts of others, but illogical to accept your own? Why is it rational to believe in limitation, but irrational to believe in freedom? I challenge you to test this. Do not take my word for it. The law of being is a law that can be proven. Pick a specific desire, something that seems impossible to your reason. Construct a scene. Enter into it tonight. Sleep in it. Do it for 3 nights. Do it with intensity. And see what happens. If it does not work, you have lost nothing but a few minutes of sleep. But if it works, and I tell you it will work, you have gained a universe. You have found the pearl of great price. You have found the power that sets you free. There is a divine timing to this restoration, but do not confuse divine timing with delay. Delay is caused by your lack of faith. Divine timing is the orchestration of events to bring about the perfect result. Sometimes things seem to be going backwards. You imagine wealth, and then you get a large bill. You imagine health, and then you get a cold. Do not be deceived. This is often the clearing of the old to make way for the new. It is the turbulence before the breakthrough. When you are renovating a house, it looks like a disaster area right before it becomes beautiful. You have to tear down the old walls to build the new extension. So if chaos erupts after you have started this work, do not panic. Rejoice. It means the law is working. It means the foundations are being shaken so that the new structure can be built. Hold fast. Hold your vision. Do not waver. The dawn is coming. Remember the story of the phoenix. It burns itself to ashes, and from the ashes it rises new and young and powerful. You are the phoenix. Your past is the fire. Let it burn. Let the old regrets and the old failures burn. Do not try to save them. Out of those ashes your new self is rising. A self that is wiser and stronger and more compassionate. A self that knows its own power. The restoration that is coming is not just a return to who you were. It is a birth of who you are meant to be. It is the restoration of your divine heritage. You are a child of the Most High. You were walking in rags thinking you were a beggar. Now you are remembering your royal robes. Put them on. Wear them with dignity. The universe is waiting to throw a banquet in your honor. In this state of consciousness where you accept the impossible as possible, you become a magnet for miracles. Synchronicities will begin to happen. You will think of someone and they will call. You will need a book and it will fall off the shelf. You will turn left instead of right and bump into the opportunity of a lifetime. These are not accidents. This is the web of reality responding to your command. You are the spider at the center of the web. A slight movement of your consciousness sends a vibration to the farthest edges of the web. Nothing is hidden from you. Nothing is withheld from you. The only thing that ever withheld your good from you was your own belief that it was withheld. You built the wall. You locked the gate, and you are the only one who has the key. The key is your imagination. The key is your feeling. Turn the key. Open the gate. Walk through. So, as we close this section on divine restoration, let this truth settle deep in your bones. You are not a victim of a random universe. You are a creator in a responsive universe. Everything you thought you lost is safe. It is gathered up in the divine storehouse, and it is ready to be poured out upon you the moment you align with it. Do not look back at the wasted years like Lot's wife, or you will turn into a pillar of salt frozen in the past. Look forward. Look inward. See the fields white with harvest. The laborers are few because most people are looking at the drought. Be the laborer who sees the harvest. Reap what you did not sow in the physical, but what you sowed in the spiritual. The law of harvest is absolute. You have planted the wind, now reap the whirlwind of blessings. The impossible is becoming possible. The invisible is becoming visible. It is the nature of God to become man, so that man may become God. Allow this process to complete itself in you. Accept your good. Accept your repayment. It is yours. It has always been yours. We have now arrived at the summit of this mountain we have been climbing together. We have explored the nature of cause and the discipline of silence and the power of revision and the promise of restoration. But all of these are merely the branches of the tree. Now we must examine the root. The final integration is the realization that you are not merely a human being trying to use a spiritual law to get things. You are the law itself. You are the operant power. The final secret is the revelation of your true identity, which is the I am. Everything we have discussed up to this point, the techniques, the visualizations, the mental diets, are simply training wheels to bring you to this singular realization that God and man are one. The creative power of the universe is not a distant deity sitting on a cloud judging your morality. It is the very awareness that is listening to these words right now. When you say I am, that is God, that is the unconditioned substance from which all things are made. The final integration is the courage to stand in this identity and command your world to appear. Most people live their lives in a state of separation. They pray to a God outside of themselves. They look for a savior outside of themselves. They blame a devil outside of themselves. This is the great illusion that keeps humanity asleep. As long as you believe the power is outside of you, you will be a slave to circumstances. You will be a cork bobbing on the ocean of life. But the moment you integrate the truth that I am is the only reality, you become the ocean. You realize that there is no one to change but self. You realize that you do not have to beg for your desires, you simply have to appropriate them by identifying with them. This is a radical shift. It is the death of the slave and the birth of the king. It requires you to stop identifying with your limitations, your history, and your failures, and to start identifying with the infinite potential that resides in your own bosom. You are not a body that has a soul. You are a soul that has clothed itself in a body to experience the world of Caesar. But you have forgotten who you are. You have developed amnesia. The purpose of this masterclass is to wake you up from the dream of being a little man or a little woman and to restore you to your divine stature. Let us discuss how to walk in this new assumption practically. To walk in the assumption means to live your daily life as if your desire were already a fact. It means that when you wake up in the morning, you do not wake up as the person who is struggling. You wake up as the person who has arrived. You put on your new state of consciousness just as you put on your clothes. Before you get out of bed, you ask yourself, how would I feel if I were already the man or woman I want to be? How would I see the world? How would I treat my family? How would I walk down the street? And then you wear that feeling. You carry it with you into the shower and into the kitchen and into the traffic. You do not step out of character. This is the great acting job of your life. But unlike an actor on a stage who takes off the mask when the curtain falls, you never take off this mask until it becomes your face. You persist in the acting until the acting becomes being. This is what the ancients meant when they said fake it until you make it, but I prefer to say assume it until you become it. The challenge you will face is the evidence of your senses. You will walk in the assumption of wealth, and then you will open your wallet and see it is empty. The old man will want to rise up and say you are fooling yourself. You are crazy. This is where the integration must be still. You must look at the empty wallet and say to it, you are a liar. You are a remnant of my past thinking. I deny your reality. My reality is the wealth I feel within. This takes immense strength. It is easy to feel wealthy when your pockets are full. It is the master who can feel wealthy when the pockets are empty. But here's the paradox. The moment you can feel wealthy in the face of poverty, the poverty must vanish. It has no hook to hang on. It feeds on your attention and your agreement. When you withdraw your agreement and place it on abundance, the vacuum must be filled. The universe will move heaven and earth to fill your empty wallet because you have filled your consciousness with wealth. The outer world is simply a delayed reflection of the inner world. Do not be fooled by the delay. The reflection is coming. We must also address the bridge of incidence. This is a concept that confuses many. They think that if they imagine a result, it should appear instantly like a magic trick. But we live in a world of time and space. There is a natural unfolding. When you enter the state of the wish fulfilled, you initiate a series of events that will lead to the manifestation. These events are called the bridge of incidence. You do not build the bridge. The bridge is built by the infinite intelligence of your subconscious. You simply walk across it. Now here is the tricky part. The bridge may not look like what you expect. You may imagine a new job and the next day you get fired from your current one. The natural man panics and says, I did it wrong, the law isn't working. The spiritual man knows that this firing is the first step on the bridge. You had to be released from the lesser to make room for the greater. You must trust the bridge. You must not judge the events as good or bad. You must simply see them as necessary steps in the unfolding of your drama. Whatever happens after you have assumed the state is part of the way, do not fight it. Flow with it. Trust that your inner guide knows the shortest way to the end. This integration brings a profound peace. When you know you are the operant power, you stop struggling. You stop trying to force doors open. You stop trying to manipulate people. You realize that you do not need to fight for what is yours. It comes to you by divine right. You develop a quality of magnetism. People are drawn to you. Opportunities seek you out because you are vibrating at the frequency of the solution, not the problem. You become a light in a dark world. People want to be around you because you radiate the assurance that they lack. You are no longer a consumer of energy, you are a generator of energy. This is the true meaning of charisma. It is the energy of a person who is at one with their own source. A person who knows they are God in valid form. Now, I want to speak to you about the importance of silence in this final phase. There is a reason the ancient teachers imposed a vow of silence on their initiates. Silence is the pressure cooker of creation. When you tell your dreams and your desires to the world, you dissipate the energy. You open yourself up to the doubt and ridicule of others. People will tell you why it can't be done. They will project their fears onto you. And if your faith is not yet like a rock, you may crumble under their negativity. Therefore, keep your secret. Do not tell anyone what you are imagining. Let the results speak for you. When the baby is born, everyone can see it. But while it is in the womb, it is hidden. Your desire is in the womb of your imagination. Protect it. Nurture it in the silence. Have intense conversations with yourself about your success, but say nothing to the world. Let the world wonder how you did it after it is done. The power of the containment of the secret is explosive. It builds up a spiritual steam that drives the engine of manifestation with irresistible force. As we integrate these truths, we must also confront the concept of unworthiness. This is the last stand of the ego. You may believe the law works, but you may not believe you are good enough to use it. You may remember your past sins and think, I do not deserve this. Let me destroy that lie right now. You do not earn the law. You do not earn God's love. It is given freely. The sun shines on the wicked and the good alike. The law of gravity does not care if you are a saint or a sinner. If you jump off a building, you will fall. The law of assumption does not care about your past. It only cares about your present belief. If the worst criminal in the world assumes the feeling of freedom and persists in it, he will be free. If the greatest saint assumes the feeling of imprisonment, he will be imprisoned. This is a psychological law, not a moral reward system. Therefore, stop disqualifying yourself. Your worthiness is established by the fact of your existence. You are a localized point of God's awareness. That makes you infinitely worthy. Drop the guilt. Drop the shame. They are heavy baggage that prevent you from flying. Step into your inheritance. Now I want to issue a final invitation to you. We have walked a long road in this masterclass. I have given you the keys to the kingdom, but keys are useless if they are left in the pocket. You must insert them into the lock and turn them. I invite you to make a solemn contract with yourself today. Not a wish, not a hope, but a contract. Decide upon one thing you desire above all else. Is it health? Is it a sum of money? Is it a relationship? Define it clearly, and then apply everything we have discussed. Revise the past obstacles. Ignore the present evidence. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Sleep in that state every night. Do not waver. Give it your total loyalty. I ask you to subscribe to this channel not as a metric for me, but as a touchstone for you. Let this community be your daily reminder. When you see our videos, let it be the bell that wakes you up from the slumber of mass consciousness. Let us build a legion of light here. A group of people who are proving the law in their own lives. Share your success stories in the comments. Your testimony will be the spark that lights the fire of faith in another. We are all connected. Your victory is my victory. This final integration is about consistency. You cannot be a part-time creator. You are creating all the time, so you might as well be a conscious one. It requires a vigilance of mind that is tiring at first. It is like training a wild horse. Your mind is used to running wild into pastures of fear and negativity. You must take the reins. When it bolts towards a negative thought, you must gently but firmly pull it back to the lovely thought. You must do this 1,000 times a day, if necessary. Eventually the horse will learn. Eventually the positive track will be the path of least resistance. You will find that you naturally dwell in states of gratitude and expectation. And when you reach that state, your life will become a miraculous flow. Obstacles will dissolve before you reach them. The right people will appear as if by magic. You will live in a state of grace. This is the promise, but it is purchased with the coin of discipline. You must also understand that this journey never ends. There is no final destination where you stop creating. Desires will always rise within you. That is the pulse of life. God desires to expand constantly through you. Do not suppress your desires. They are the language of God. When you desire something, it is God knocking on the door of your consciousness, saying, I want to experience this through you. Open the door. Accept the desire. Fulfill it in your imagination. And then move on to the next. You are an infinite being, and there is no limit to what you can experience. Do not settle for a small life. Do not settle for mediocrity. You were built for greatness. You were built to express the glory of the Creator. Expand your concept of yourself. Dare to dream bigger. If you can imagine it, you can have it. The only limit is your power to believe. Let us speak of the feeling of, it is done. This is the signature of the Master. When you have truly integrated the state, you feel a sense of naturalness. It doesn't feel like a miracle anymore. It feels like it was always meant to be. If I asked you right now, are you a human being, you would not struggle to answer. You would say, yes, of course. You have total conviction. You need to reach that same level of conviction about your desire. Are you wealthy? Yes, of course. Are you healthy? Yes, of course. It must become a natural fact to you. When it is natural, it is manifest. The universe creates what is natural to your state of being. So make the supernatural natural. Make the extraordinary ordinary. Bring the high mountain down to the valley of your daily experience. I want you to leave this masterclass with a sense of mission. Your life is not an accident. You are here to awaken to your own power. You are here to test the limits of your imagination. You are here to prove that love is the only reality. Every time you use this law to lift yourself or another, you are adding to the light of the world. You are reducing the sum total of suffering. Do not think your desires are selfish. A person who is fulfilled and happy and abundant is a blessing to the world. A person who is poor and sick and miserable adds to the burden of the world. By saving yourself, you serve the world. So be selfish in the highest sense. Fill your cup until it runs over, and then let the overflow bless everyone around you. As we conclude, I want you to close your physical eyes for a moment and open your spiritual eyes. Look at the life you want to live. See it clearly. See the faces of the people you love smiling. See the environment you want to live in. Feel the atmosphere of freedom and joy. I tell you that vision is the reality. The room you are sitting in right now is fading away. It is temporary. But that vision is eternal. It is waiting for you to breathe life into it. You breathe life into it by your faith, by your persistence, by your refusal to take no for an answer. You are the resurrection and the life. Call forth your dead dreams and command them to live. Roll away the stone of doubt. Walk out of the tomb of your past history. The sun is rising on your new day. Remember, the words I have spoken to you are spirit and they are life. They are not just information, they are transmission. If you have listened with your heart, a seed has been planted in you today. Do not let the birds of doubt steal it. Water it with your attention. Protect it with your silence, and I promise you it will bear fruit. You will look back on this moment as the turning point. The moment you stopped being a victim and started being a creator. The moment you realize that you are the God you have been seeking. The search is over. You have found the source. It is within you. It is you. Go now and live this truth. Do not just talk about it. Do not just study it. Be it. Be the living proof of the law. Let your life be the book that others read. Walk with your head high, not in arrogance, but in the quiet confidence of one who knows who they are. You are the I am, and there is nothing impossible to you. The world is at your feet. Pick it up and shape it into a masterpiece of joy. It is done. It is finished. And so it is. If you have walked this entire journey with me today, you are no longer the same person who clicked on this video. You have the keys. Now, you must use them. I encourage you to share this lecture with someone who needs this light, perhaps a friend who is struggling, or a loved one who has forgotten their power. Being a channel of this wisdom is the highest form of giving. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We have many more depths to explore together, many more mysteries of the imagination to unveil. Leave a comment below declaring I am, followed by your new state. Let your word be your bond. Go now and live the life you were destined to live. You are the creator. Thank you for watching.